to make love, make it worth the fight. Yelling, we dropped out of heaven, taking me through hell. Here we are again. I submit you.
Hello, and welcome to Conversations with Rev G. Here every Monday night from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on WEMS Radio. I am Reverend Grenetta Mason, aka Reverend G, and I'm here to bring you spiritual conversations and interacting with people from all different backgrounds and all different opinions and perspectives. So we come together to have open, honest, in the moment conversations about all kinds of things. I've had artists, I've had comedians, I've had entrepreneurs, I've had people just with a wealth of knowledge in how they are living their lives. And in looking at that, we can find some things that can support us. With everything that's going on right now, we're looking for ways that we can make it through and get to the other side of everything that's going on now. So I bring these conversations so that we can look at ways that you can find things that can support you to get to the other side or to get through whatever you're going through right now. And Lord knows we are going through a lot right now. So today I'm bringing a very special guest, and we're going to talk about some of the spiritual practices and some of the things that she has done in her life and how some of her practices may be able to support you. You can find me on Instagram as Rev Grenetta and on Facebook and YouTube as Reverend Grenetta Mason. Look me up and find more inspiration. So tonight I have Lisa Fife as my guest. Lisa is a mother. She is a teacher, an entrepreneur, and essential oiler. She really, really knows a lot about essential oils, and I'm excited for her to share some of that knowledge with you. I met Lisa at Up High. We sang in a gospel choir together. So we spent a lot of time together at rehearsals and in church. And we just had a really, really good time in the choir. So I'm excited to have Lisa here. And I'm sure you'll enjoy everything that Lisa is going to share. So remember, I'm here to help you find joy, live your best life with grace and ease. So let's bring Lisa in and have a conversation. Come on in, Lisa. Here she comes. Hey, Lisa.
Hey.
So I like to start off where you introduce yourself to the people, and I was gonna add a bit to it today to say, highlight some of the unique things that you would like for people to know about you.
Sure. I mean, you want me to do that right now?
Yes, right now.
Oh, okay, right now. So my name is Lisa Fife. My background is that I was a high school English teacher before I had children. And now I have a business that's really in two parts. One was kind of like a natural outgrowth of an interest that I had in natural health and healing. And when my children were born, I was really, really looking. I had been looking for a long time for natural treatments for everything from depression to immunity to how to raise children as naturally as possible. And I came across Young Living essential oils, and that was life-changing for me. And so I just kind of, through sharing with friends and other mothers, it kind of just became a business for me. There were so many people who wanted the products and who were interested in using them. And I became kind of a teacher of how to use essential oils. And then my background, so that was something that I started almost 20 years ago, that business with Young Living. So I've done everything, you know, I teach about essential oils. I do healing techniques using essential oils. And I also am a mentor to other women who, mostly women, there are a few men in my organization, but mostly women who are interested in this kind of business. And I help them, I coach them, I work with them on an individual basis, and often help them in the process of growing their organization. And then I also have a second part of my business where I'm a teacher, because my background, before all this started, I was a teacher in high school, and I started doing private tutoring. And that kind of also really, because I missed teaching, I missed being with kids, and really wanted to do some of that. And that's actually turned into just as big a business as my Young Living business. So my days are full. But I guess I feel like I'm a teacher, you know, I feel like I'm doing the same kind of connection with people, hearing what the situation is and coming up with solutions for them. You know, I do that across the board for both sides of the business. So I guess that would be, you know, I feel like what I love about my work is that I can connect with so many people. So maybe that's what I would like people to know about me, if there was something.
Yeah, I see that you were saying that you help people discover a life of health and wellness, meaning, and authentic success.
Yeah.
So through your Young Living business, you work with your clients to that end.
Yeah.
It's interesting to talk to business owners during this time. You said that you've been in this business for 20 years.
Yeah.
And now COVID is hit and things are just like all over the place.
Yeah.
Have you seen, can you talk about what have been some differences for you? Because I'm sure there were, but as the kind of business that it is, it was online already, you were kind of connecting in that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a total change for me, actually, because everything was in person. You know, I had people at my home all the time. I had gatherings at my home. We had, you know, make and takes. We had demonstrations. We had, you know, healing nights where we would do techniques and things like that. So once COVID hit, that was the end of that. And so I've had to kind of move it all onto online and social media as far as that goes. So that has been like really, it's been interesting. I mean, it's changed my business, right? It really has changed things, and some good, some bad. But it's been a learning curve. And I feel like so many of us are in this learning curve about how to reorganize or re-identify ourselves as business people in this online Zoom culture, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because everything is moving there,
Yeah.
right? And you know what would be interesting is you talked about healing, right? And there's a lot that has to be healed now. Is there a particular oil or emphasis that you guys are placing to talk about how we could heal in a lot of different ways? Because I think that mental health healing is necessary, as well as how do we stay healthy during this time. And we are going like crazy, because I'm seeing people going to parties, right? I went to a party and I was like, oh no, why did I want to go to another party? I was scared.
And then for like a week, you're just like, why did I do it?
Why did I do this? Right.
Until you get the test back, and then you're like, whew, won't do that again.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So I think, so much. I mean, I just did a couple of classes on depression and anxiety, because I'm feeling like that is a major issue for people. I mean, I can only speak for myself, you know, in that before all of this, I was always so busy, right? I was always doing something. I was going into the city. I was driving in my car. I was going to a client. I was going to a student. I was very, very busy all the time. And then all of a sudden COVID came and it was just stop, right? We just completely stopped everything. Yeah. And, you know, and that just being, and, you know, I'm blessed enough that I can do this work at home, right? So you can think of some people who aren't in that situation, and then everything stops, and you have anxiety about your life, right? That is rational and makes sense because there's actual problems, right? But then there's also the anxiety that comes from just stopping all the activity, stopping all the socialization, stopping all that. And there's so much more healing that needs to take place on a planetary level and all of that. But as far as what I'm able to connect with people right now, most recently, it is about this. It's about connecting with your feelings and allowing yourself to feel those feelings, using oils that help to kind of dissipate and loosen them a little bit so that you can actually not feel trapped by them or feel rigid. You know, often depression is like edginess and anger, right? That can come out, and anxiety can just be like frozen. You can be frozen. And the oils don't like, you know, instantly take, although they have the ability to calm you and feel more grounded, they don't instantly, nothing is a magic bullet.
Right.
What it does is it loosens them up, and you're able to kind of have some objectivity, and you can talk about your feelings, and you can kind of have some distance between your feelings. So we've been doing a lot of stuff like that. And, you know, it's been wonderful for me. I think it's been helpful for other people. And it seems like, you know, it's not just adults, but also children that are going through this who, you know, because kids, you know, they're online all the time. Even my own kids, it's like, they're just on the computer, you know, and they kind of, you know, I think they're happy that there's something happening, but they just don't feel quite at home in their lives. Everybody's kind of feeling a little bit displaced. And so, you know, feeling at home with what is, feeling at peace with what is, and doing, you know, things with oils that can kind of bring us back to that has been really fun and helpful.
I like smelling the oils, right? So I know when I keep them around and I smell them, right? I just love the way you do shift. It really causes you to shift. And in that moment is when you can maybe have a different thought or a clearer thought. Or, you know, just the shift, and the oils support you in that. And I know that there are healing qualities to a lot of them. I see you guys mixing things in, and you know, like, I can't do all of that. I just give it to me, right?
Right. But I'm actually the same way. I prefer just using blends. I'm not a do-it-yourselfer kind of person.
Right, where you just mix it all up. And I know you're a mother, and a great mother, because you know I know all your kids, right?
Likewise to you. I know you're a mother, and I know you're a great mom.
Can you talk about the impact this has had on them, right? And there could be from a couple of perspectives, like with their friends, with them now at home, right? And how you have supported them, because it's really interesting to understand how this is, to hear how it's really impacting young people, and then maybe have some ways that you could support them, or that we could offer support. And somebody might hear something and say, I could try that, you know?
I mean, we honestly, I don't know. I mean, I can tell you what the day-to-day is for them, and they're not happy with this. They don't like online learning. They like going into school on the days we're doing like a hybrid kind of thing, where they go in like 2 days a week and then sometimes 3 days a week. But I often think like it's going to be interesting to see a couple of years down the road how this has impacted them, because, you know, they're both at crucial ages. My oldest is in 12th grade, right? She's getting ready for college, and she's right now doing the whole college experience completely online, you know, which is so strange. And I'm not involved in it. Like, she's doing it on her own, and she comes and tells me, I saw this college, I love this college, you know, this is what I want. And, you know, so I'm not there to experience that with her. And that, you know, and I've thought about that. I'm like, is that good? Is that bad? It's just what it is. I don't have any other children who've gone through this process. So to me, that's all there is.
Right.
You know, and then my son is in 8th grade now. And so he's at a very social time, you know, and he's naturally more social than she was, or she is. So for her, like, it seems natural to just kind of do, whatever, her Snapchat, or, all the things that are online. Like, it just seems, she doesn't complain to me about not seeing friends. Like, if she wants to see friends, she's able to arrange it, and it's always fine, and it's good. It's social distance, and it's fine. I have more with my son, who's way more, he's an Aries, he's super social, and he loves to be around his friends. So I can see with him that not seeing his friends is he sees that as a bad thing. And I see it as a bad thing. I mean, at that age, you're a social being. And, so how I, really what I do is I do use oils with them. I ask them to kind of, if they're upset, if they're worried about something, if they're stressed, because what I've noticed is that they can get super worked up really fast. This didn't used to happen, right? Like, if something happened in school before, we would talk about it. But now I think because everything is so unknown, and everyone is just feeling like, what's next year going to be? And when is this going to end? So when they are like super worked up, I like to, I love Valor. There's an oil called Valor, and, put the oil on, and we just do deep breathing. And it's like you say, the smell of the oil can actually, like, it does something to your nervous system where your energy just kind of drops to the lower part of your body. And you can breathe, and then, you can say, and I'll say things like, it's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. And like, just have them repeat that. And, they would kill me if I was sharing this with you. They knew I was sharing this with you.
I don't want anybody to know.
This is not what a 13-year-old boy wants everyone knowing. But, but this kind of, so because you had said before, like, it just has the ability to kind of get into you in the smell itself. But I mean, our sense of smell is connected to our limbic system, right? And our limbic system is the seat of our emotions. So when we're having a strong emotional response, inhaling the oils and then kind of bringing in a new affirmation or an intention in that moment can really, really shift the energy and help them to move on. So that's what I try to do. And
they're not really having any conversations. Like, it's not like, no,
okay. To me. Yeah, like, more like, my son will come up to me and be like, I did this, I did that, and he'll, like, you don't get a lot of interaction with the 13-year-old boy. My daughter, I mean, you just get what I get. And so I get bits and pieces, and I'm happy to hear about that. But I can look at him and see that, what he's struggling with. My daughter is more open, and she's, she'll be 18 soon. And so it's like, we can converse more like two women. And I hear more about it from her end, and it's more about just generalized anxiety. What's next year going to be? What's going to happen? Am I going to be able to take my SATs? And so, but we've been through, as a family, we've had, I think, worse anxiety probing situations, right? We've had, situations we've gone through. So I feel like in some ways this is not, and again, I'm really like careful to say, like, we're lucky. We're, I know so many people are having a really hard time right now.
Right, exactly.
And, but for us, this was kind of like, both Mark and I were able to continue to work. And for the most part, I mean, I lost some clients and stuff, but like, for the most part. And I think in some ways, being together as a family was an unexpected blessing that kind of brought, balanced out some of the anxiety. The fact that we have dinner together, I mean, right, family dinners, it's like, this was, with everybody's schedules, it wasn't always possible. So,
right.
There
are some positive things that came out of it, right? Yes, exactly. With everything else. We met at the church, right? So, and I know we, the kids were there too, right? What has been your spiritual, it's been like 5 years now. I can't believe that we was 5 years ago, right?
Yeah,
and so we kind of talk about the spiritual journey and kind of highlighting, your early spirituality and how it's evolved and where you are now in terms of spirituality.
I feel like since I left Up High, or since Up High, kind of ended, I feel like my spirituality has gone through a huge shift. And it was like, for me going there, and I think it was the case for you and a lot of us who were there, it was like we were all spiritually interested, and then we all came together, and there was this kind of like really unusual situation with, you know, with Tim McAfee Lewis and our singing and all of this like activity. And then, you know, for me at that time, everything became very, my spirituality became important again. Because, you know, I've always been spiritually interested. And I guess, like, you know, when I was a teenager, even I read like Shirley MacLaine, and I was into crystals, and I went to the Harmonic Convergence in New York City when I was in high school. And I was always like really curious and interested to what is it that I knew that there was something more, you know? And so always seeking. And then, so I was in, you know, I guess I always had been kind of Eastern, like I loved Buddhism. I liked, back then I was in, you know, I really liked Pema Chodron and a lot of the Tibetan Buddhists and a lot of their thinking. And then I found Agape online. I think you were someone who watched it too, right?
Right, yeah. Michael Beckwith.
Yeah, so he just came to me, and I was meditating one day, and his name popped into my head, and I felt like this impulse to like go on the computer and type his name in, and then like 5 minutes later I was watching Agape on some kind of stream, live stream, and just like tears were falling down my face, and I was like, oh my God. And Tim was singing, and I was like, I just want to sing with him. And it was like this. So
then it happened like that, because we followed Michael and Ricky all over, right? So when Spiritual Liberation came out, we went to a weekend retreat with them. And that's when it was just the most amazing experience. So we followed them for a while and listened to Ricky's music. And he was very impactful at that time. Because you think about at different phases in our lives, we're working with different things, we're moving in different ways, and different spiritual teachers can impact us at that time. So they were very important. And how I got to Up High was Ricky came, right? So there was a connection, right?
That was like,
I was like diehard, follow Ricky and Michael everywhere. And she was at Up High when we did that whole weekend, singing and everything. And from that point, that's when I joined the choir. So it was the connection to Michael and Ricky and Up High. But yeah, it is interesting, the different phases that we go through. One thing I'm curious about, where do you teach the kids? I know, because Jasmine at this point, she's spiritual, so and then she did go to get baptized and explore all that. So it's kind of interesting. I think they take on what we give them. You know, it's like we model it.
Totally.
Right.
I mean, in the last, I would say 5 years, I've gotten heavily into, you know, I always loved chanting, but even before I went to Up High, and so I loved chanting, and I loved Krishna Das, and I used to go see him, and I got way back into that. I've just taken like, I just picked up some books, I guess like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and started reading, you know, Chants of a Lifetime. And then I read the Bhagavad Gita, and I just read all these things, and I was like, oh, and I started listening to old Ram Dass. I always loved Ram Dass. And
me too.
And so listening to his old talks on, you know, on Spotify. And so just feeling so awakened by that. And I just finished like 2 8-week courses that were just about chanting. And so I have just, you know, like on a daily basis, I do some Hindu prayers, and I do chanting. And so the kids, I don't bring them to any kind of place. There really wasn't anything like Up High that I could find nearby me. I mean, if there was a place, it didn't work with our schedule, or it was too far away or something. So I haven't been bringing them anywhere, but we are always like, you know, my house is like, I've got, you know, giant Buddhas and you know, burning before the big picture of Maharaji, and they, you know, so they're always surrounded by, you know, Murtis and all these things that are so important to me. And I don't, I've taught them some of like the Hanuman Chalisa and things like that, but I don't insist that they follow anything. So it's like, I think, and I know that Sophie really enjoys it, and she'll say those prayers on her own. And I don't know that Max is really, at a point where he's really interested in this at this point. But my hope is just that through exposure and, that they'll be blessed, and whatever they're meant to follow, whatever their path is, they'll find something that can lead them to their path.
That's good, because they have a model, as I say, as they'll watch you and then they'll kind of follow.
Yeah.
So, I have a lot of creatives on, and I know you're a singer and you were in a band.
Yeah.
And what's going on with your singing and music and all that? Are you
still singing a little bit, still singing? It's like, I don't have the time anymore. Like I think about Agape, and I think about up high, and I think, how in God's name did I have the time to drive into the city 3 days a week? It was just like,
I know. I can't believe it. Wednesday night, Thursday night, and Sunday.
It's Sunday. And it was like, it was just a window of time in my life where I was like, my businesses were kind of like small enough that I had my kids were little still, and it just worked, right? But like, it doesn't work. It wouldn't work for me now.
Right. It was starting not to work anyway, because it was a lot, right?
It was a lot. When it was over, it was like, I don't have to put 6 miles on my lease every single week.
You don't have to do that anymore with them, right?
Yeah.
I think you've probably done some of talking about the spiritual practices that you use. Can you talk about like what top 3 would you recommend, right? And I find it interesting when we talk about supporting people during this time. We talked about the mental health aspects, right? Yeah. We could also talk about the inequality and the healing that needs to go on there. We could talk about, oh my God, politics and how crazy that is, right? And the story of the day, right?
Yeah.
There's just so much going on. I like, to offer people things, and ways. Try this out during this time. Maybe it can help you feel better. And not discounting anything that's going on, and knowing that, we talk about emotions. You have to have the emotions. You can't push them down.
Yeah.
So the whole idea is to support people. How can we support them by talking about the things that we do to get through?
Yeah. I think it's so, what you say, we're in such pain, and we've been revealed, right? The world has just revealed all the things that were hidden before, and everything is just to the surface, and it's heartbreaking, right? For me, it's like an ongoing, I don't ever remember a time where there was this much on a daily basis, just horrible news every single day. So it's just as, it's really, really hard. And it's hard for me, it's hard to not go into a place of anger, not to kind of, I'm always negotiating between feeling helpless and angry, and then coming back to not acceptance in the sense that I should politically accept this, right? Because we have to be we still have to work for social justice. We have to work for that. Mm-hmm. We have to do the things that we have to do to make the changes that are necessary. Mm-hmm. And, we've done that. We do that. We're we've gone to marches, we've gone to meetings. Certainly we're going to be voting. We're doing some voting support for our district. Mm-hmm. But there's also when I'm really, really politically active, I feel like I get very much pulled into the world. And so that can also be a source of tension and anxiety. And, mm-hmm. There's so much to be done. We work with some people that work to feed the hungry and give them organic vegan food that's just thrown away from supermarkets. Even that just alone When you look and see what food is thrown away on a daily basis and that there's people on Long Island that are hungry, you know, so that is an infuriating situation, right? So it's just, there's so much work that needs to be done. But for me, chanting, because I'm a highly emotional person, right? I'm really, really, I can get caught up, I can, you know, cry about things, I can get angry about things. Chanting for me as a practice is really great because it combines my love of singing, it combines, you know, my emotional life, and it takes me out of myself. It takes me out of my small s self, you know, and connects me to, you know, connects me to what I am, what we all are, right? It connects me to that capital S self. And in that space, I can, you know, that's living. That's actually living, right? That's the place where we can affect most change, and we can really affect ourselves. And through there, I'm maybe a little less reactive. After practice, I'm a little less reactive. I'm a little less anxious. So I love chanting, and I would recommend, you know, because it's just so, it takes up your whole focus, you know, just to chant. It's like, it really just takes your mind immediately out of the situation. And then if you keep with it and you do it for about even just 10 minutes, your like whole body is resonant with those words and songs.
Well, so for people who just don't do chanting and it's something new for them, how would you direct them to go find the first YouTube video, or is there a way without having to be Buddhist, right? You know what I mean? And go.
Right. Well, there's so many different kinds of chanting.
I know, right? Without.
Yeah.
There's so kind of like,
yeah, so like they could research Krishna Das, right? Krishna Das is on YouTube. He's got a YouTube channel. Every Thursday night he does a free online on Facebook. He does like a 3-hour kirtan, which is like chanting and he answers questions, and that's totally free. And then there's you know, he's one. And then if you just even go to Spotify or whatever app you use to download music, and type in chanting and like just listen to the various kinds of chanting. There's you know, chanting that's like upbeat and kind of traditional Indian. Then there's chanting that's like rock and roll, and there's chanting that's like soothing and relaxing. So there's, you know, new age chanting. There's so much different, you know,
so many options.
But you can, it's like one of the easiest. It's grown so much. I think it's pretty easy for people to just kind of look this up on their own, through YouTube and Spotify, you know, whatever.
I like the idea of the singing and using your voice at the same time.
Yeah.
And the idea too of not where it takes you, right? The energy and the space. Because I'm saying you're not focused on the words.
Yes.
But you're the energy of it all and the rhythm. I remember going to chant at a Buddhist, and the room was incredible. And in a moment, I don't know, it was just an experience where you didn't really know what you were saying, but you were just keeping the rhythm
and you
the
just
rhythm and the energy, right?
It can honestly overtake you. It's like when we used to, you know, back 2 years ago, I went to see Krishna Das, and there was a moment, like, you know, I looked over, Sophie was like zonked out, like, you know, in a zone, like just listening to the chanting. I was like out dancing, and like, I don't even know, like, it can take you in so many different places, but it's not performance. You're not even aware of yourself doing these things. You're just literally, I don't know. I mean, the Hindus believe that the chants themselves are God manifest on this plane. So some people say that like those words are being spoken and sung eternally, right? And when you step into them, you kind of embody that energy, and you step into that energy, and it just feels so freeing, and it feels so, you feel love, right? It just
I feel it now, you know, even thinking about, I can see the way you're saying it and thinking about the experience of it. It's really refreshing, and you really do feel great after a really good session. That's cool. So chanting, I love that. And I like that, you know, it doesn't seem like there's this way to chant. It's
Yeah.
being open to
It's just being
all
open.
kinds.
Yeah. And
Right.
you'll
Yeah.
find it. You'll find what fits right for you. And
Mhm.
you know, it's kind of like drumming or something like that. I imagine, I haven't been a drummer, but I know men like to drum, you know? And I think
Yeah.
it's probably a similar experience. You probably get that, it's that vibration, the vibration like just, you
Mhm.
know, lifts you and takes you somewhere
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. And it's interesting, vibration always, that's number one. We'll talk about vibrations after I get your other two, because I'm an Abraham Hicks fan. It's
Yeah,
all about the
baby.
vibrations.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, chanting, beautiful. What would be your second one that you would share that has really worked for you?
I mean, we're talking about just day-to-day stuff, right? Not
Yeah,
necessarily
because
like,
see, I really want it to not be this whole task to be spiritual.
yeah, yeah. So just
Like every
day-to-day.
day, what are you using? How do you get through the
Yeah,
day? How
yeah,
can we make it less a normal part of our lives
yeah,
and have it support us? These two
yeah,
support us, you
yeah.
know?
So, I mean, what I love about Abraham, right, is that she's always, Esther's always talking about, you know, she's channeling that feeling in this place of love, right? Being in that
Right.
place of love. And to me, it's really just, it's just about that, right? It's about whatever it takes for me to just in the moment feel love. And, you
Mm.
know, like that's it. It could just be like, I watched this movie the other night about an octopus. Did you see this on Netflix called My Octopus Teacher?
Mhm.
And it's about this guy. He just whatever. It's a guy and he's a deep sea diver, is a biologist, and he finds this octopus and he has a 1 year relationship where he goes every day and visits this octopus, and the octopus, you know, connects with him, and they have this completely unconditional love relationship, and it was so beautiful. And I mean, it. So like just today, I was like, oh, I was just thinking about that octopus and thinking about how he like this octopus would just go right on his heart, you know, and just like
Mm.
little stickers on his heart, and they would
Mhm.
just hang out together. And I was like that is that feeling of someone loving you unconditionally or something. If it's a dog or a cat, like I'll do that with my, you know, I see somebody, I'll think of my kids, I'll just give my kids
Mhm.
a quick hug or
Mhm.
whatever it takes for me to like just feel love in
Feel
that
that.
moment. Yeah.
You just said something because I have two dogs
Yeah.
and they make you feel
Yeah.
so good, right?
Oh, good. Because they're like living like there's not a problem in the world.
Right,
As far as
right. They're just like lick me.
yeah.
They just
They're
want
like,
to lick you and you want
yeah.
you to pet them, right?
They just look at you. All you have to do is look at them, and they're like, "What? What is it? I'll do it." You know, they're like,
Right. So it's that love energy,
yeah,
and it comes from a lot of different things, and people can generate it in many
yes,
different ways.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
pretty
Because that's
cool,
it, right? If we can just
right?
connect with that feeling of love,
Hmm.
then our day is going to keep getting better, right? If we can kind of, because we're going to have other feelings, but if you can come back to that, like always just try to lift yourself back to that feeling
Back to
of
that.
love.
Hmm. Yeah, as you go through, because we talk about the law of attraction
Yeah,
and where are you vibrating
yeah,
and what energy, where you are will determine what's coming into your life, right?
yeah,
Paying attention to
yeah,
your thoughts, what level are you vibrating on?
yeah.
You can really impact your life, right? We could be in
Absolutely.
a like we know a lot's going on, but we have to take those moments where we can find some joy or
Yeah.
find some time to be happy, and that comes from like changing the way we think. You know, our
Absolutely.
thoughts are really important. And
Absolutely.
what I'm finding is when I think about mental health and how to support people, you know, it's working between how do you get people to shift their thoughts, right? And not stay down in the negative. And I listen to a lot of Abraham because of the techniques and the way she talks about staying positive,
Yeah.
right? And the examples of if you're positive, positive things will come to you.
Yeah.
If you're negative, you go right down the negative hole. It's just the momentum, I think, the
Yeah,
negative
right. Shift those
momentum
momentum, right.
and the positive momentum. So I always talk about how you find yourself in this space, right? And it's like everything is just really crazy. If you could get one positive thing, just
Yeah.
one little one,
Yeah.
that'll start, you
I
know?
know that exercise she does when she's like, you're really like pissed off or something. And then she's like, you know, this is the scale system, right? That she
Mhm.
talks about that. And then she'd be like, it's better to be really pissed off than to be like suicidal or something, or so depressed that you just have to be hopeless. She's like, well, you're moving up the scale. And then from there, you can be like, well, you know, what's the point of being so angry? I might as well do something, you know, do something else or change the subject. You're moving up the, so it's like you're always like moving yourself up so that you,
Exactly.
yeah, you got to constantly. And that's kind of why I do find oils helpful, especially for depression and anxiety, which was really my gateway into it. That was how, because I was a depressed person, I had a lot of anxiety, I was on medication for years, and my thinking was really negative, as you and I both know, that that's going to be a self-perpetuating. But when you're in that loop of that kind of thinking, it's really hard to get out of that.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm talking about, because
Yeah.
that's the challenge, right?
Yeah.
Is it easy for me, who's not depressed all the time, to hit a wall and say, "Oh, bounce back," but
Right.
and if a person, you know, is
yeah, right.
right, always, you know, in that space, how do you support them? So you were able to stop taking your meds.
I was able to get off my meds and everything, and it was, I mean, I had done it, I had weaned myself off, and then I was in a, I don't know if it was a yoga retreat, and I met this woman, and she said to me, you know, she was a psychotherapist, and she said to me, you have to try these oils, and I was like, oh, whatever. Like, I didn't think that oils could do anything like that. I mean, you know, that was already 20 years ago, and nobody was using oils that way, and I had never heard of it. But something in what she said to me made me, you know, I trusted her. I was like, she seems like a pretty together person. I'm not gonna, you know, so, and I was really struggling. I was looking for something. And then I tried this oil and I did it like she told me. And after, I guess it was like I don't even know, it's so long ago, a series of weeks, my husband said to me, like, please don't stop using that oil. There's a real difference in you. And I was just like, you know, oh my God, like, you know, so that was the thing. So for me, what it allowed me to do, well, we know that plants have a high vibration. We know that plants have a higher vibration than humans. So first of all, being around oils is you're taking the energy of plants and applying them to your skin. So you're raising your vibration by putting oils on. So I think it's it's that. Then there's chemical compounds in plants that we have been using since the beginning of time that our body recognizes, and we don't even understand really how they work together, but we know that our body recognizes them. And so there's that whole piece. And then I just think of vibrational, I think there's a miraculous aspect of it that is unexplainable, but for some reason I was better, and I have never gone back on medication. I mean, I've had stressful points in my life where I have felt sad, and we've had problems like everybody, and you know, all of that, but I've never gone back to that. It's like a loop. When I think back to those days, it was like this, you know, like just always ruminating, and that I feel like I'm free of. And I do feel like that was the beginning of that was really the beginning of my spirituality too, like really taking it seriously. And I wonder if it didn't like open some chakra in, you know, my heart chakra or something, like even my crown chakra. I don't know. But to me, it's like a really profound, it can be a profound, but it doesn't feel profound while you're doing it. It just feels like a nice thing you do. But it can be very profound. It can change your life, and it can pull you out of that negative thinking and lift your feelings.
Like the energy, it lifts you, and there's something else happens, right?
Yeah, right. So suddenly you're like more loving to others or kinder or whatever, and then all of a sudden you're getting a good feedback, and then it's like, so it's the same thing that Abraham's talking about, right? It's the same truth. It's just coming at it from a different, you know, vibrational aspect and thoughts.
Yeah, that is really good. And I like that how spirituality is a base. You said as you think about it now, it was a part of your spiritual
Yeah,
journey
yeah,
also,
yeah,
and that supported you through
yeah,
moving to where you are now, right? And
totally.
so, and we may not always recognize how spirituality plays a role in what we're doing. It's sort
Yeah,
of, it can be like the afterthought was, oh, I
yeah,
prayed a lot, right?
yeah,
And I got through that, right?
yeah,
Or,
yeah,
no, I sat with myself a lot and I
yeah.
got through that, right? And it's interesting too, talking about the different spiritual practices, because right now I'm working on listening as a spiritual practice,
Wow.
right?
Yeah, good one.
For a person that loves to talk all the time, always talking, right? So, and
Hey,
listening, and it's interesting because you think you listen, but a lot of times we're not. And what I'm finding out is just by focusing on some of the aspects of what it really means to listen, I
mm,
realize how much was I really listening,
yeah.
right? If
Both
I'm
of us,
always
right?
talking, because I'm
Right.
always talking, right? So if I always wasn't
All of us.
doing
So we all do it. We all do it, right? We're listening, but we're thinking about what we want to say. So how much are we really listening, right?
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
So it's a practice, though. It's a
yeah. I
practice.
can imagine.
So that's been the latest practice that I've been working on is listening,
I
and
think
I
that's great.
find it, when we talk about, oh well, what's in your spiritual toolkit? Because my whole thing is to have a spiritual toolkit, because
Yeah.
not everything is going to work all the time at the same
Right.
time. You have
Yeah.
chanting, you have your oils,
Right.
those things you can decide which one is going to work for this situation.
Yeah.
So it's really about having spiritual practices at hand that can support you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I know that for me, I love water. So when I get really upset, I can go in the shower and I can just do affirmations, and
Mm,
just the water and a combination of the affirmations can really calm me.
mm,
So that's what I found that's works for me is go
mm,
to the water, like take a
mm.
shower and walk away. And so there are just so many things that could go in the toolkit. And I
Yeah.
like bringing people that are using different things that we could
Yeah.
share. I
Yeah.
love the chanting conversation. That was really, really good.
Yeah.
So I also would like to, I think we had a lot of good things, and
Yeah. It was
we
so
have some more,
good.
a few more minutes. I would like to talk about what's upcoming for you. Um, what do you want to share? It's been really, really great conversation around just how to manage in this time.
Yeah. Yeah.
What can we do to have the hope, know that this too shall pass,
Yeah.
and be okay, because it will be different. So we're building ourselves to for the difference, being
Yeah.
open to the fact that it will be different.
Yeah.
And so what tools do we have? And that's what we like to build up.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing all that. So talk about what's upcoming for you, anything you want to share, and how would you like for people to reach you?
Well, I've just been working so much with Young Living on, getting on my face, working on I have a very large group in Facebook and I've been posting in there. And I recently rebranded my website. And so that's always,
Mm.
that's someplace people can find me.
Mhm.
I just uploaded a bunch of videos to YouTube. So
Oh,
I'm on there as well. Lisa Fife. There's another Lisa Fife who's like a children's writer, but I'm there. You'll recognize.
we'll find you.
So just, that's it. I mean, I'm really excited and I feel even though, I don't, there's like absolutely no I mean, there's reason to have hope, like you say, right? There's reason to believe that things are going to change. And so I think that is part of what's making me feel excited.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm feeling excited for the future. But I also have to say, like, that even if things, I mean, and I don't want to put this out there, I don't think this is what's going to happen, but even if things don't go exactly as, we would wish, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like we still have to cultivate that core part of ourselves that understands that we will be okay, that we can get through this, that so it's like, that's what I'm trying it. It's like a simultaneous thing, right? You want to do the things to make the changes, but at the same time be less attached to the outcome. Because
Mm-hmm.
when we're so attached to the outcome, we're putting our happiness dependent on the outcome. And
Exactly.
that can't be, right? So it has to be like, we do the best we can, we bless it, and we hope, and we put our whole heart and soul into our work, and then we have to let it go. It's not part of us anymore, and we just have to trust that the universe has a plan, that we
Plan, right? And
yeah,
and that the universe has a plan, and that will be okay.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
just know we'll be
you'll
okay,
be okay.
right?
Yeah,
That's the part
yeah,
that's important in knowing that.
yeah, yeah.
So cool, Lisa. I'm so happy that we
So good seeing
connected,
you. So
and
nice
this
to
is
see you.
so good. And
Thank you so much for having me.
yeah, so you do workshops too, right? So they'll find that all on your website.
Yeah, you can, I mean, anyone on my website, you can email me. I do ongoing work. I do basic essential oils, how to use them for everything in your home, detoxing your home, for beauty, for sleep, for natural hormone balance, for, as I talked about, anxiety, depression, for immune support, for treating minor illnesses. I mean, we do workshops on all kinds of things. So if anyone is interested in joining, most of our workshops are on Zoom. What I've been doing sometimes is I upload the workshop and I put it onto YouTube so people can check out my YouTube and look at past ones. But yeah, like anyone who's interested in joining in a workshop, they should email me through the website, or on Facebook or whatever. And I'll tell you how you can, I'll send you a link so that you can be a part of it.
Well, thank you, Miss
Thank
Lisa.
you. Thank
You have a
you.
great day. I'll be in touch.
I'll be in touch too. So good to see you. You look lovely.
So do you. Bye.
Bye.
Well, thank you guys for joining me tonight in Conversations with Reverend G. It was a wonderful conversation with Lisa, and I hope that you got something to add to your spiritual toolkit and that you could take something away tonight. You can reach me on Facebook as Rev Granetta, and I'm on Facebook as Reverend Granetta Mason, and I'm on YouTube as Rev Granetta. And I do daily inspirations, and I look forward to being here with you guys every Monday on WEMS Radio from 8 to 9. And today I'm going to leave you with a mindful message, right? And the mindful moment I talk about is like being mindful is being in your experience in the moment, right? Being in the present moment in your experience. So when you take a mindful moment, I suggest, so what do you do during that moment? And the goal of the moment is to shift, to relax, to have something different happen. So today I'd like to say during your mindful moment, how about getting happy? And what that looks like is in that moment, just make peace with whatever is going on in the moment. Just make peace with that. Then you can go within and find something that makes you happy. Just find a happy moment, right? And just find a reason to feel good. And in that mindful moment, if you can bask in that happy moment and that reason to feel good, you will shift your energy. And when you come out of that little moment, you'll have a different perspective. So I like to say, take your mindful moments and use whatever practices you can to shift your energy. It's Reverend G, and I'll see you next week on Conversations with Reverend G. Have a great week.